Hey. So firstly, I've done a clickbait title for like a bunch of my videos. This is intentional. This is because it's funny to me. I don't actually care how well they do. But I do know that some people get genuinely tilted by clickbait titles and like production quality. And I just don't actually care. If that's enough to stop you, you're absolutely the wrong crowd for this. You may even have some of the problems I'm going to talk about in this, but you were never going to get over them by this video anyway. So, like, let's pretend you're wasting my time by watching this, and feel free to waste my time. It's funny. Now, ego, interpretation, self-esteem, and these things all like tie into each other, especially with fencing, with like most martial arts. The self-image. If you do something that I've seen a lot of people do, which is they offload their self-esteem issues to the world, and they remove all their vulnerability and their ability to be emotionally hurt by those self-esteem issues by offloading those vulnerabilities to their interpretations in how fencing should go, and in how their text teaches you to move in defense. My joke thing is academia was the worst thing that happened to historical fencing. And to a very core precept, I do believe that. It's a fucking trade. If you want to learn how a knife maker would teach you how to play swords, maybe fucking actually know how to move your hands and how to do things. It's a trade. You are learning a trade. You are learning a service. You are learning a thing you can do, a thing you can create, a thing that your will against the world manifests into outcomes you're looking for. Reciting pages from a book does not do that. This isn't the shit on academics. It's the shit on people who hide behind academia and actively make this hobby a bit of a fucking hellhole. So when someone offloads their vulnerabilities to their interpretation, they're also kind of leaning into especially some fascist rhetoric where maybe they don't believe themselves to be able or better, or all the negative things that you could say about them and their body and their ability to interact with the world. They may actually just truly believe the things that they think other people think, or even do say. Fuck. And because of this, it becomes the excuse for why their interpretations are bad, and why their understanding of fencing as a whole is poor, and their ability to coach someone to perform well is low. Don't do that, I'll hit you. Oh, well, that's because I don't fence, or oh, that's because of this other very valid reason. I can't do that because my knees, I never rehabbed them and I never fixed them after injuring them 35 years ago. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do half the things I think would be right if I never fixed my shit, too. I come from a place of romanticizing and idealizing this ability to do the technique, to being a technician at these things, to being able to use the least amount of effort and use their force against them. All these romanticized, beautiful parts of martial arts as a whole. I did Taekwondo for a long time. I did Kyokushin. I did Muay Thai. I used to compete in those too. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I did boxing. I also come from a background of doing strength sports like powerlifting and strongman. I love those sports so dearly. They mean so much to me. Strongman is so neural and so technique. Oh, it's fucking cool. You can't be dumb unga bunga in strongman. You need to be intelligent to not fuck yourself up and truly learn the technique and ability to do these insane things. To not rip your bicep off the fucking bone while doing an Atlas stone is a tremendous skill. It is a tremendous application of yourself against the world. I love these things so deeply, and they mean so much to me. And I want these things, these ideals, hopefully to radiate out of my fencing. And I think they do. So when someone tells me their theory and tells me their thoughts and how they believe it should go, it's never coming from a place of, when I say that won't work, it's never coming from a place of, yeah, someone will just outspeed it. Or like, no, I can just fucking, I'm stronger than that. Everyone's stronger than that. No, it's not coming from that. It's coming from a place of like, oh, I also want the magic. And I do the magic. That's not magical. That's just fucking stupid and won't work. And people hide that within their self-esteem issues or their poor interactions with sport because people fuck that up. I wish I had sport coaches that enthralled me with sport in a way that would have been beneficial to my existence. I didn't. I had very poor interactions with sport and group sport growing up. And now I adore it. Oh my god, I fucking love basketball. Holy shit. I can't shoot for shit. I love basketball as like a spectator and as someone who is a coach. Right? As a coach, I love basketball. That's so cool. And the theory and understanding behind how you can affect that game is so cool. What the fuck? The academic side of these things is beautiful and profound. It's not just fucking sports ball. Ugh. This us versus them separation, right? Very fascist. I've watched a lot of people get just so stagnant and so hung up because they don't attack their interpretations and their renditions. Because that is their major point of pride. And it's actually where all their self-esteem is hidden and jammed into. And their ego is hidden and jammed into. And their sense of worth and their sense of self is hidden and jammed into how they think swords by a particular book should be done. And this is actively detrimental, not only to themselves, but their students and their surroundings. And even more spiritually towards the author. There's a lot of books that I know a lot of people won't touch because they've met the zealous readers and the zealous fucking nerds read them and go, wow, yeah, that's what that's about. I'm not going to waste my time. That seems like fucking hogwash. I read a very deranged book, and I do a lot of fencing that is based on lessons out of two very deranged books. Fabris and Tybalt are intense in their theory. There's also an interaction of people look at these books that are simpler or don't really tell you much, and they get to hide in them. My book doesn't tell me how to deal with that problem. Okay? But how do you deal with that problem? Are you basing your whole personality off a fucking 10-lesson book by Dick Leangelo? What? Why don't you look like the fencing that you're trying to sell to people? Or that you're trying to eat people's time with? Why don't you look like it? Why don't you move like it? Why don't you do its lessons? Rapier is really nasty for this. You could read some of the books that have very poor translations or are very simple, and you can kind of like, yeah, I'm doing the thing, look at me. And no one bothers checking the working out because you're like, oh god, that's a whole book I can't be asked reading. But there are some of them that can make you fucking dreadfully strong. Kind of disgusting. That actively scare people off because now you can't say you do the thing. Because it's trying to teach you how to be damn near world class. And if you're not damn near world class from it, that means you're failing. This is cool. This is cool. This is what's fucking cool about these books. That you don't do Dick Leangelo's fucking 10 lessons and go, cool, now I gotta figure out the rest. Why does this prick keep yield shotting me? Or why do I keep getting double disengaged hip shotted? Why is everyone smacking me in the hands? How come I keep getting carded for intensity? I'm just doing a parry riposte. You can't hide behind mediocrity. You can't keep your ego safe. You can't keep your vulnerabilities safe by agreeing with the world. You are either embodying it and doing the thing and doing it justice, or you're not. And that should be terrifying in a way that makes you do things. Fuck. Do the thing. Live up to it. Live up to what your text is trying to teach you. It's one of your coaches. Figure out what people are doing wrong. Not so that you can feel like you know things, to be a knower, to be an expert in it off a read and a half. Learn what they're doing wrong so that you can do it right and show what right is and truly embody it. And be real. It's so scary and it's so heavy and it's so fucking hard. It's so hard. But it doesn't mean you don't do it. You shy away from it, or you keep your ego safe by going, well, this is just how my book would tell me to do that. Because I've read so many books, and one of the most annoying things is when I read a book that someone has been telling me to read for fucking years, and they are one of the experts on it, and I look at it and go like, you don't do anything in this. What the fuck's wrong with you? Where did you make up half of this? I hate those conversations because I try and be polite about them, and I try and be kind about them, and usually I ask questions, and I ask questions to see if they can answer it with what I know that they should kind of say. And people just look at me dumbstruck, like, oh. No one's... I don't know. And then they make shit up. It's like, oh, I know the book you're saying. I know what you're referencing. That's not what that is. None of these words are in the Bible. Most of the people who I see have these problems won't listen to this video and won't watch it. I would be shocked if you feel attacked by it. You kind of should be. If you see yourself in this, and this feels like your rendition of Sellsword. I was just trying not to say his actual name. If it feels like I'm Sellsword and you're Shad and you want to lose your mind, I don't know, look at that discourse and maybe don't be. Don't hide your ego and self-esteem in a half-baked interpretation of something for clout and for just keeping your own self-esteem issues as someone else's fucking responsibility. Don't hold yourself hostage at me or anyone. Jesus Christ, that's exhausting and rude. You should attack your interpretations with damn near religious vigor. You should crush those old thoughts with vehemence, and you should constantly be finding what you're doing wrong and fixing it. Over the last few years, I've had so many moments of like, I don't know what else I could possibly fucking learn that now can't, that just like, no, I just need to fucking hone what I now figured out. Because every time I've had that feeling, I've been wrong. I've been dreadfully wrong. Oh my God, I have been so wildly wrong so many times. It is so intense. And if my ego and my self-esteem was tied to these things, I would be so stark and so scared to admit these things. I would be fucking terrified. Also, if you're wondering what the clicking is, I keep playing with the mic thing. I would be fucking terrified. But if you don't keep attacking these thoughts, you need to meditate on why you're scared to attack them. I would rather be right when I'm fencing. I'd rather what I'm doing is right than everyone is nice to me and says, I see where you're going with this, okay. And just leave me to stew in the corner in my own piss. I want the magic to be real. And I'd rather it be real than have to convince you it's there, but I can never show you. Hopefully this maybe inspires anyone who is nearly about to go down the charlatan's path. Or you may end up with a pink name on the big HEMA Discord that shows you're an instructor. I dread seeing that color now. This is all coming from a place of wanting us all to be good at what we do. And wanting everything to be real and beautiful. And I care about that. Yeah. So, clickbait title. Be careful of your ego and where you're hiding your vulnerabilities. Huh. That's an Italian fencing guard thing. When you pick this guard, you know what your vulnerabilities are. Don't hide behind the guard. Play with the fact that these are your vulnerabilities and the other person will go towards those. Attack your interpretations. Attack them and make them real. If you do that, you will not only feel better about yourself and your self-worth, but it will be harder for other people to do it. And then when they attempt to do it and it doesn't work, it's their own problem. Giving a damn's hard. But it's definitely harder to me to watch people drown in their own piss and shit. Ugh. Go fucking fence, eh?